All right, let's get right into it. AI is everywhere, isn't it? It's writing pretty much everything these days, translating languages, summarizing long articles, you name it. But with all this machine-generated text flying around, it brings up a really big question. How do we actually know if any of it is good?
I mean, really think about that for a second. It's not like a math problem where there's only one right answer. Language is messy, it's creative, it's got all this nuance. You can say the same thing and it does in different ways, and all of them could be perfectly correct. So how on earth do you create a standardized test for a machine's writing skills?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. First, we'll cover why we even need these scoring systems. Then, we'll meet our three main judges. We've got Blue, who's a total stickler for precision, Rouge, who's all about checking the content, and Perplexity, our fluency guru. After we've met the whole panel, we'll figure out how to pick the right one for the job and then take a peek at what's next, beyond today's scorecards.
So why do we need all these metrics in the first place? Well, it's because we have to measure these really important qualities that go way beyond just simple right or wrong accuracy. We need a way to figure out if the AI's text sounds natural, fluent. Is it actually relevant to what we ask for? And maybe most importantly, how close is it to what a real person would have written?
Okay, first up, let's meet Blue. The best way to think about Blue is to imagine a super strict grammar teacher. Blue is not interested in your creativity or your unique flair. Nope. It is all about precision and getting the phrasing exactly right when compared to a perfect example.
Blue, and yes, that stands for Bilingual Evaluation Understudy, was created way back in 2002. It pretty much immediately became the gold standard for grading machine translation. Its entire purpose, its whole reason for being, is to measure just how closely an AI's translation lines up with a bunch of high-quality human-made translations.
So how does this thing actually work? Well, first, it chops up both the AI text and the human reference text into little phrases. We call them n-grams, and it just looks for matches. Then, based on how much overlap it finds, it calculates a precision score. But here's the clever part. To stop an AI from just cheating by spitting out a few correct words and calling it a day, it applies something called a brevity penalty to punish any translation that's just way too short.
So what's the verdict on Blue? Well, it's got some clear pros and cons. On the plus side, it's really fast, it works in any language, and it's a super well-established standard. But the limitations are pretty major. It's incredibly rigid, it has no idea what a synonym is, so if the reference text said quick and the AI said fast, sorry, that's wrong. A sentence can actually get a really high Blue score even if the grammar is a total train wreck, just as long as the right keywords are in there somewhere.
All right, let's bring in our next judge, Rouge. Now, if Blue is that strict grammar teacher, Rouge is more like the editor who cares about the big picture. It's way less concerned with perfect word-for-word phrasing and much more focused on a simple question. Did the AI actually cover all the important points?
Raj came onto the scene in 2004, and it was specifically designed to grade AI summarization tools. The name kinda says it all, recall-oriented understudy. It is all about recall. It's laser-focused on measuring how much of the important information from an original human-written summary is actually present in the AI's version.
Really, the entire philosophy behind Rouge can be boiled down to this one simple question. Of all the important content that was in the reference, how much did the AI's version manage to hold on to? It's basically like going down a checklist to see if all the key ideas made the cut.
Now, unlike Blue, Rouge isn't just a single score, it's more like a whole family of them. You've got Rouge N, which is a lot like Blue. It's just looking for that direct overlap of phrases. But then you have Rouge L, which is a bit smarter. It looks for the longest matching sequence of words, even if other words are sprinkled in between them. This helps it appreciate when the AI gets the overall sentence structure right. Rouge's big strength, no question, is its focus on content coverage. That makes it absolutely perfect for summarization. The downside?
Well, just like Blue, it's still hung up on exact word matches, and it could not care less if a summary is fluent or actually readable. Plus, you can kind of trick it with really long summaries that just happen to cram in all the right keywords.
And that brings us to our final judge, perplexity. And this one is completely different from the others. It doesn't need a human reference text to compare against. Instead, perplexity is what we call an intrinsic metric. It measures the AI model's own confidence in what it's writing. It's our fluency guru.
Probably the easiest way to wrap your head around perplexity is to ask this question. Think about it. A model that really understands a language well is very rarely surprised by the next word in a normal sentence. It can predict it pretty accurately. A model that's constantly surprised, on the other hand, is one that just doesn't get the patterns of the language.
So here is the most crucial thing to remember about perplexity. Lower is better. You want that score to be as low as possible. A low score means the model isn't very surprised, which shows it's really confident in predicting the next word in a sequence. And that confidence is a fantastic indicator of how well it's learned the grammar, the style, and the flow of a language.
And that's the bottom line, really. When a model has low perplexity, it's a sign that it's gotten really good at predicting the next word. And that almost always translates into text that just sounds more natural, more coherent, and way more fluent. Like it was written by someone who actually speaks the language.
Okay, so we've met our three judges. We have the precision-obsessed Blue, the content-focused Rouge, and the confidence-measuring Perplexity. Now let's put them head-to-head and figure out when and where you'd call on each one.
The biggest difference between our first two judges really comes down to this one idea: precision versus recall. Blue is asking, out of all the words the AI generated, how many of them were actually correct? Rouge, on the other hand, is asking, out of all the words the AI should have included from the original, how many did it manage to capture?
This table right here is basically the ultimate cheat sheet for picking the right judge. If you're doing something like machine translation, where every single word choice matters, you're going to lean on Blue and its focus on precision. If you're doing text summarization, where what really matters is getting the main points across, you're going to rely on Rouge and its focus on recall. And when you're actually building a language model from the ground up, Perplexity is your best friend for measuring its core predictive power.
And this isn't just some abstract academic stuff. These metrics are humming away behind the scenes in the tools you use every single day. That Google Translate app on your phone, it's being constantly tested and improved using Blue scores. All those news summarizer apps, they live and die by their Rouge scores. And the smooth, natural-sounding conversations you have with chatbots, that's a direct result of developers working tirelessly to drive that Perplexity score lower and lower.
But, and this is a big but, we have to end with a really critical point. As powerful as these judges are, their scorecards are not the whole story, not even close. They have some pretty serious limitations that we have to talk about.
First off, there's often this huge gap between a high score on one of these automated tests and what a real person actually thinks is good. Second, these metrics punish creativity. They are looking for one specific correct answer, and they'll mark the AI down for coming up with a different but still totally valid way of saying something. And finally, as today's AI gets more and more sophisticated and human-like, these old-school rigid rulers are really starting to struggle to keep up. Which leaves us with one final big question to think about. These metrics we've talked about were designed for an older generation of AI. So as our machines become more fluent, more creative, and just more human-like in how they use language, how will our scorecards, our very methods for grading them, need to change too? What does a report card of the future even look like?